Hey you guys, so today's video is a project update slash garden tour, and this is a pretty big project, so I have a feeling it's going to be a very long video. So sit down, relax, get a beverage, and enjoy. So here's the front yard, and last time I showed it to you, it was early in the spring, and they had hundreds of daffodils here, and it was so beautiful. But right now the garden is pretty much in full bloom, and the homeowners asked me to create this really meadowy, natural, relaxed planting. So I incorporated lots of grasses like this calamagrastis here, and these Shasta daisies with some echinaceas, and this beautiful switchgrass intermingling with all of the plants. And I have some anemones here that will bloom later in the fall. And here is some troubles that we ran into in this planting. So I planted a lot of incredible hydrangeas here because I love the look of them with the black paint of the house. However, I underestimated the deer pressure in this neighborhood, and a lot of them were eaten, as you can see. The foliage is gone. Some of the blooms are still remaining, and the ones that are remaining are gorgeous. Like, look at this. I love them. Now, interestingly, another hydrangea that we planted here is the wee white one, which is a smaller arborescens hydrangea, and they did not touch them at all. So I don't know if it's the height issue. So I'm going to have to make some decisions, maybe pull these out and replant them in the backyard because the backyard is fenced, and plant more wee whites or something else. But other plants that I have here are Astilbe, which are deer resistant. This is Delft lace, and it's so beautiful. Like, look at that texture with this Hakenochloa here. I just love that. So there's more switchgrass, more anemones. There were white Astilbe blooming here earlier in the season. There's more Hakenochloa. And again, really chewed up, incredible hydrangeas. So we do spray these every 3 weeks, and I think the problem is it's just not enough. We should probably put it on the once a week deer spray schedule, because we've been having these just torrential rains almost every day, so it washes off a lot of the spray. So definitely, maybe if we'll pick up the spray regimen, it will make it a lot more deer resistant. But every time I leave this property, I see deer everywhere on the street. They're not even afraid of humans, they're just walking the streets. Here just passed by this rhododendron. This is Cunningham white. Beautiful rhododendron, and then more of the Astilbe and ferns. These are ostrich ferns, and they are deer resistant. Pretty much any fern is deer resistant. More of the Astilbe here. Some Helleborus for some winter, early spring interest. Now remember, this garden is a year old, so things are still filling in. So another interesting thing is that I planted this Tiarella. This is cutting edge, which is beautiful. Look at the foliage, so nice, and blooms with these gorgeous foamy white flowers in the spring. Deer did not touch them, and they normally would eat Tiarellas and also eucharis. So that, like this Autumn Bride right here, which I love, it's one of my most favorite eucharis, they didn't touch them at all. I am not sure, again, if it's the height issue, and that's why they went for the Incredibles, but I'm going to have to make some decisions nonetheless. Now, this combination here is one of my favorites in this bed. This is Timeless Night Euchera with Royal Fern, and this bold leaf of the Euchera with the fine leaf of Royal Fern and the darker foliage with the lighter foliage, it is so pretty. I just love it. Again, they did not touch this Euchera. It's not damaged at all. And then in the spring, we planted some foxgloves here. They were beautiful. This is actually their second bloom. We deadheaded them, and they're blooming again. Overall, I am very pleased with this bed, except for the deer damage. I mean, if these incredible hydrangeas were fully blooming and weren't chopped off by the deer, this would be this beautiful, lacy, delicate texture that I was looking for in this planting. Another thing is that they did not touch the oak leaf hydrangeas here, which is also interesting because they would eat those. Anyway, this is it for this bed. Let me show you the front of the house. All right, so this is the front of the house, and last time I showed it to you early in the spring, I had plans on planting a beautiful bed in front of the boxwoods. And the homeowners requested lots of color, and my go-to shrub for lots of color and pretty much all summer bloom is bloomstruck hydrangea. And isn't this so pretty? So we have high acidity in our region. We don't have to acidify our soil to have the blue hydrangeas. And this is how they bloom, which is just so beautiful. And I interplanted these plants with some more of the Tiarella cutting edge, some Hakenochloa and Brunnera. Like this combination, look at this. And when the Brunnera blooms with those beautiful forget-me-not-like flowers, it's just so pretty. And then I have some anemones here for the fall. So this combination here is just so pretty. The Brunnera that you see here is Jack Frost. And just look at that foliage. Who needs flowers, right? And we did install a lot of night lighting because the homeowner requested it. It's very dark here at night. So that's what those interesting structures are. Those are lights. Let me show you the other side real quick. Now these plantings were here before, the spirea with the hollies. And I left them because they are deer resistant. I planted some eucharis here. This is green spice. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous foliage euchera. And some more of the bloomstrucks on this side. Again, my favorite combination here is the Brunnera with the bloomstrucks. Look at this. Very simple but effective. And I think it adds just so much more interest to the boxwood hedge. I just quickly wanted to show you this spot right here. I know this is not the prettiest, but this is so functional. So basically this is where all of the air conditioners and the garbage is. And it was all exposed before, and what I decided to do is plant these Chesapeake hollies here, and they are the perfect screening plant. So there is little walkway here as well, going to the backyard, but this worked out so beautifully. And now let's go to the backyard. So the last time I showed it to you, I don't think we had any plantings here. I think I was working on the plant list at the time. I know the pool was in here, but I don't believe any of the plantings were. So let me just show you around all of these beds that we put in and talk about the plants a little bit. So this bed right here has some tough stuff hydrangeas and this gorgeous switchgrass. Oh my goodness, I'm so in love with it. This is Niagara Falls, and I kind of went crazy with it and just tucked it in everywhere because it's just so beautiful. It has this bluish hue to it and just this beautiful kind of cascading habit. And these shrubs right here are Aphrodite Calycanthus. There's one bloom right there. Calycanthus pretty much bloom all summer long where we are. The neighbors have beautiful ones right there. I don't know if you could see those. So yeah, there's some over there. So these grow pretty big, but the Aphrodite is a little bit smaller variety. Then I have some Aruncus. This is Chantilly lace. It's a gorgeous native plant. And then I underplanted everything with Junior Walker catmint. And the rose that you see here, this is white drift rose. And the viburnum behind there is Little Ditty, which is a really cute little viburnum. And then we have some Itea, a sweet spire, some more of the switchgrass Niagara Falls with some oak leaves. There is smoke bush over there for some beautiful color. And I have plans on planting a climbing hydrangea up this electrical pole because we had an option at some point to move this pole, and I think it just didn't work out. So this pole kind of has to stay here, which is unfortunate, but I think we can work around it. If I have a gorgeous climbing hydrangea kind of maskiness, it's going to be just fine to me. So there's more of that switchgrass, and I just wanted this lush kind of low maintenance bed over here, and that's why I planted a lot of shrubs, a lot of grasses, and very few perennials. And also this was pretty much for privacy, so we planted a lot of Leland cypresses with some cryptomerias. And when they grow, they will give the homeowners a lot of privacy from their neighbors. They're very friendly with their neighbors, they just don't want to see them while they're in the pool, which I totally understand. And then because there is quite a bit of slope, I went with a very informal kind of very natural shaped bed here. And I can't wait for this to fill in. This bed is only a month old. A lot of plants here, like the Little Ditty, it's at their maturity, but some other plants here still need to fill in. Okay, so now let me talk about the planting beds around the pool. And I just love them. They bring me so much joy with all the different textures and colors that we planted here. And I just wanted to mention one thing, is that when I give my contractors the plant list, a lot of times plants get substituted because they just cannot find what I'm looking for. So some of the plants I can tell you with 100% certainty what they are, but some I just can't, because when they arrive, a lot of times they don't have labels. They kind of look like the original plant that I asked for, but it's not the same thing. So just wanted to point that out here. But I wanted to start with this one. This is Calamintha nepeta, which is such a beautiful and wonderful perennial, great for pollinators. And look at all of those beautiful flowers. Just so pretty. Now, this is a good example. So this hydrangea right here was supposed to be a little lime. I am not 100% certain because look at this. When the flowers are open, they don't look like that at all. See, they're very loose. I do not mind that look, by the way. I kind of love it, but this looks more like honeycomb or tardiva to me than little lime. There is some Amsonia hubrichtii, which is one of my top perennials that I try to plant everywhere. There is some Verbena bonariensis, which is awesome for pollinators. There is a Geranium Rozanne, which is a superstar in any garden. It just blooms and blooms, blooms and blooms, attracts lots of pollinators. This beautiful grass right here is a little blue stem standing ovation, so it does not flop as the straight species. And then I snuck in some milkweeds in here. So a lot of times homeowners don't really care about having natives in their garden. They just want some beautiful plants. And when swamp milkweed blooms, it's actually really pretty. And then you have these really cool seed pods, which if you want to avoid your milkweed spreading all over the garden, you can cut them right now and you'll be just fine. And I can't wait to see some monarch butterflies on this. Maybe some already laid some eggs, I don't know. But as you guys know, in any of my plantings, I like to aim for at least 50% native plants, which is the case here with all the grasses and echinaceas and the penstemon and milkweed. So yeah, even if the homeowners don't care about natives, you know, they're so pretty. We can still plant them as professionals. And of course the echinaceas. Oh my goodness, what a workhorse in the landscape. This is Ruby Star, and you can see the bee on it right now. It's just such a beautiful perennial. And I also planted some white swans over here. They're so pretty. And again, more Niagara Falls with some echinaceas. So basically from here it's just repetition of the same plants. And what else I like to do as I'm planting beds like this, I observe plants throughout the season, and inevitably some plants just do not do well. They either don't like the wet spot, or it's too hot, or it's too much sun, or they don't like something. So I would find another spot for them, because this is not my garden. I don't observe it every single day. I don't know every corner of this garden, how the soil works, how the drainage is. So I just observe the plants and come back later, replant, add, and constantly edit. Now, this is a native iris right here, which I love the structure of. Like, look at this thing, the sword-like foliage. And by the way, I will put all of the plant names in the description down below as per usual. It's going to be a long list. I would show you the pool, but I'm not sure if you're interested. I'm sure you're here for the plants only, but here's the pool. It was actually the #1 priority for the family. They have a very large family, so this is a huge entertainment area for them. This is a little diving platform here, and they spend a ton of time around this pool. It's beautiful, especially on the hot day. So let me show you a little shade garden here. And by the way, all of these plants, this is just the start of this project. We're going to plant a lot more plants here, which I'm really excited about. You know how I feel about plant diversity. The more plants, the better. But this is a little shade garden. What I ended up doing here, first of all, the bed is very natural. It's carved out in this, like an S shape. There were some existing trees that were gorgeous. So the shrub that I absolutely love here is this button bush. Look how cool the flowers are. It's just so cool. And they're favored by pollinators. They grow pretty large and just has this beautiful shape. Then I underplanted everything with Brunneras and some maidenhair ferns, which are just so delicate, absolutely beautiful. This grass is Carex pennsylvanica, and I would love to have more actually, because Carexes are kind of slow growing, and I wanted to use Carexes here as a living mulch. So we may come in and plant a little bit more. And then I have some Astilbe Visions in red here, which just finished blooming. Then again, a little bit more Carex, some Tiarella cutting edge here with beautiful oak leaf hydrangeas, some cinnamon fern, and the birches, which kind of make this garden. I love these multi-stem birches, and these are the ones that were sitting on the sidelines for 6 months while the pool was built, and they survived. They do have some dead branches on the bottom, but that's okay. I'll just cut those off. Oh, and there's some arrowwood viburnums all the way in the back. If you have a really tough spot in your garden, if it's shady, if it's wet, if it's dry, if you just don't know what will grow in that spot because nothing grows, just plant any sort of viburnum. They are so easy, such beautiful plants as well. They produce berries, great for wildlife, native. Viburnums are my go-to plants. Now, this gorgeous creature right here is Nootka cypress, and it has this pendulous structure, and it is almost like a character in this garden. It's so whimsical. I just love it. When the homeowner saw it in the nursery, she just has to have it, and I completely understand why. Then we planted this privacy hedge from the neighbors. Again, this property is very elevated. It's about 8 feet high from all of the neighbors, so we had to do a lot of groundwork here. This was actually a big hill. It kind of fell down like this, so we moved a lot of soil to elevate it, and we planted some green giant arborvitaes with Leland cypresses. And let me talk about this bed here. Again, cutting edge tiarella. Oh, and I did plant boxwoods in all of these beds because in the winter, yes, we're going to have a lot of structure with the grasses, but you need some evergreen structure as well, and the boxwoods are great. So there's some more swamp milkweed that I showed you earlier, and this is what it looks like when it blooms. Isn't it so beautiful? Some more irises and switchgrass. And again, I plant thickly, I plant a lot, I plant with a lot of diversity, because not all plants are going to do well when you plant them. Just expect that. You expect about 10% loss, and expect about 10% of other plants just not doing well. Like, they won't die, but they won't thrive. That's why you have to plant thickly and maybe pluck some of the dead plants out and replant the ones that don't do well. Look at this. Isn't this so pretty with all of the grasses? That texture is just amazing. Now, that could be a little lime. I'm still not sure if it is, because things just get mislabeled all the time. Again, Amsonia with some Verbena bonariensis here. And this is just such a beautiful oasis. I get messages from the homeowners all the time. You know, they wake up in the morning and they just are so grateful and so thankful for this beautiful spot here. Now, it does have irrigation. Everything has irrigation, although we didn't really need irrigation in the last 2 weeks because the rain has just been relentless. So I just wanted to show you this. Because of the rain, there are mushrooms everywhere. Like, those are not clover. All of those are mushrooms. They're everywhere, and which is perfectly fine. Mushrooms just like organic matter, and they will eat it up and they will sort of disappear. All right, so let me show you this spot right here, which I worked on just last week, and it's a vegetable garden. So the homeowners requested to have a vegetable garden because they have an outdoor kitchen right there with the grill and the sink and a fridge and everything, and they love to entertain and cook, and vegetable garden had to be in the plans, but it had to be pretty. So I got these Veridec Corten steel beds, and I love them, and the homeowners love them as well. So what happens when you get this Corten steel, the metal looks like this at first, and then it starts to rust, and it has this beautiful patina, which is perfect because we have a lot of black and dark colors here with the house and the outdoor kitchen. I wanted to incorporate more of the warmer colors, which these beds will do. So what I planted here are some peppers, which are already producing. I'm sorry, the pool equipment is kind of loud. Got some tomatoes. Look at that. There is some Genovese basil, some beautiful cardoons, which I can't wait to see those mature. Imagine that against the black wall. Oh, it will be so gorgeous. These cherry tomatoes here, some more basil and oregano. I think it's the prettiest vegetable garden of all. I love it so much. And our next project is to have an espalier tree right against the wall right here. Either a pear or an apple. I think it will be so beautiful. It's so architectural. And then that wisteria right there, that's a native wisteria. It's Amethyst Falls, and we actually, the plans are to have it grow up this kind of like a fence upstairs to soften the look of the house. I think it'll be so pretty. And then over here, I hope I'm not making you dizzy, you guys. This bed we installed about 3 weeks ago, and I love this. It is just the most lush, meadowy looking. Oh. So the homeowners were away. They were staying in a hotel right next to a meadow, and they wanted to have a meadow coming out of their house. So this is the look that was achieved with lots of Gaura. So this is Gaura So White. There is lavender hitcoat, Verbena bonariensis, again favored by pollinators. There's Geranium Rozanne, there's some Russian sage, which is a wonderful plant. There's a pot right there with some dichondra and euphorbia diamond frost. And Agastache. Oh my goodness, how much do I love this Agastache. This is Blue Fortune, and there are pollinators on it all day long. And it is so pretty, and it pretty much blooms all summer long, like once the heat kicks in. And it's all interplanted with switchgrass Cape Breeze, which is the first time I'm using this particular switchgrass, but I do love it. I don't know if you can see it. It's kind of so transparent, translucent. Can't see it. There's some more smooth hydrangeas over there, and Clethra for beautiful fragrance. And now I'm on the patio because I wanted to show you this giant pot that we got, and I just wanted to plant it with this Thunbergia, just so pretty, and dichondra, and see just how far all of these vining plants can grow. Like, I want this whole thing to be covered. I think it'll be so cool. So that is pretty. So basically, again, we're not done with the project yet. We need a lot more plants here. I would like to see a lot more trees. And this is pretty much the view that the homeowners see the most. They spend a lot of time on their patio. So the kitchen is right there with the vegetable garden, and the pool with all those flowers there. And I love this layering of this bed here, the next bed, and the next bed. Even if you have a smaller space, you can achieve this layering by creating a bed, having a little bit of negative space in between, creating another bed with a little bit of negative space in the form of a lawn or a patio. And it's just so peaceful. Alright, you guys, this is it for today's video. I hope you got some ideas for your own garden. Even if it's not as big as this one, maybe you can implement a plant combination or some of the materials that I used on this project. Anyway, thank you so much, you guys, for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. you.